Hey, it's Jice with the Black Business Initiative. I wanted to talk to you today about business ownership. What I'm not going to do is go on a soapbox about why businesses are important. If you have looked into the Black Business Initiative or looked at any of the other videos, I talk about the importance of cooperative economics and and business ownership within our community. So I'm not going to go there. What I want you to know is that part of the reason of creating these videos, the majority of the reason for creating these videos, was to create tangible resources for you to create a sustainable business. So I definitely want to make sure that I am giving you something that you can, take from the video and keep moving forward to create your business or help it to grow, to make it more sustainable and so on and so forth. So we're going to talk about what is the first step to starting your business. I believe that the first step in starting your business is mindset. It's determining if you should start a business, like if you personally should start a business. If you're familiar with Dr. Boyce Watkins, I subscribe to a lot of what he says in terms of building wealth within the community and things of that sort. I don't agree with all his opinions. So, if you're not a big fan of Dr. Boyce, not a problem. Don't hate me. I like a lot of what he says when it comes to business ownership. I also like a lot of what he says when it comes to wealth building. But one of the things that he says is that everyone can have a business, right? All of us, if you're Black, you should own a business. I disagree with that. Business ownership takes discipline, and it's not for everyone. So, I think one of the things that we have to look at is how we separate our hobbies from business ownership. I don't want to give the impression that if you do something on the side or do it as a hobby and you decide that you're never going to take it full time or whatever the case might be, I don't have a problem with that, and I don't want you to think that I'm downplaying that situation. But what I want to focus in on, and what the focus of the Black Business Initiative really is about creating those larger sustainable businesses that can hire, that can, compete, that can provide resources for and within the community. So a large part of that, as I said, was discipline. It's a mindset issue, and so your business starts with you and what you're capable of doing mentally. Do you focus? Are you organized? Do you follow through? Are you consistent? These are questions you have to ask yourself. Do you understand risk versus reward? Can you calculate risk and weigh that against the reward to determine whether or not this is a risk you should take? Business ownership in itself is risky. So you have to kind of determine what that risk versus reward means for you. Are you resourceful? Persistent. Persistence is really key. In every business, you're going to face setbacks. Do you let those setbacks stop you, or do you push forward? So those are the types of things that you have to have like a real, come to Jesus moment with yourself about, so that you can determine if you have the right type of mindset to really go into business ownership. So continuing along that same path in terms of mindset, one of the things that I want to touch on is the importance of us expanding our thought process in business creation. So what I mean by that is, in the last 2 weeks, I've had about 20 people contact me about starting a business. I think that's great. Not even joking, not kidding. Like 15 of them were about starting a beauty salon or a barbershop. There's nothing wrong with that. We know in the Black community that our hair is a very important thing to us. Beauty supply stores, I think, are incredibly important. We have been locked out of that industry by Asians, and it's an industry that we primarily support. So I think that's an industry we should break into. However, when it comes to owning a barbershop or a beauty salon, they are everywhere. Everyone knows someone who owns one. And I don't want to downplay that again, so please don't take that wrong if your desire is to own a barbershop or a beauty salon. What I do want is for us to collectively begin to think on a larger scale. How do we begin to break into those industries that we're not represented in and that are getting funding? So one of the things you'll see in the drop below the video is a link to the Colorado Economic Development Office. I believe every state has an economic development office. I did not check all 50, so don't hold me to that. But every state should have some economic development office or something like that that you can chime into. So you should definitely take a look in your state, find out what your economic development office, what your website is, or where you find that information on what your state is funding. So if you are in Colorado, the link is provided below, and there are essentially 14 industries that our government, our local state government, puts out money for, and they have to allocate a certain percentage of that to minority-owned businesses. The issue is, if there are no minority-owned businesses that meet their qualifications, where does that money go? Not just if they don't meet the qualifications, if they don't even exist, because meeting the qualifications is really not a hard task. Meeting the qualifications, there are a ton of resources that are available to help you meet the qualifications, even some that the government provides to help walk you through the process to get their contracts, because they're allocated to give this money to minority-owned businesses. The problem is that some of these businesses just don't exist. We have aerospace, bioengineering, agriculture, technology. And if we don't have businesses that are inside of these industries, then those are just dollars that we don't get back inside of our communities. So a lot of times we're going to school and we're getting these degrees, and then we're thinking about what job we can get, not what business we can create to use the knowledge that we've just gotten taken from the university or the college that we attended. So I think we really have to start, broadening our horizons on what types of businesses we can open. Even if you don't think that you necessarily have a passion for some of these things, passion is not the number one key that you need to start a business. It helps, but it definitely doesn't have to be. And so you can take some of the knowledge and the know-how that you have and begin infusing it, because if you've gotten a degree in engineering, why wouldn't you open up a business that is, doing some sort of research or some sort of, engineering, and then having an opportunity to get a government grant or a government contract for that. So in the link below, you'll see those 14 different industries. If you click on one, there's a PDF profile that shows you what that industry entails. So there are resources that are out there like that allow us to begin to expand on what we have within our community, so that we can continue to grow in a way, or be represented in places that we're not already represented. I think that this is so important for us to tap into these resources. There's a gentleman that I know here who has a business. He's like the only Black person in Colorado who has this business, and so all the time he gets government contracts because there's no one else to give them to. And so he's a multimillionaire. Not to downplay his business abilities, but a lot of it is simply because he's the only Black man in Colorado to give the money to. So it has to go to him if he applies. I mean, it's just, as long as he meets the requirements. So anyway, I don't want to go in too deep on that. All I'm saying is start the research. So, focus in on your mindset. Ask yourself, am I a person who can own a business? Do I have, these qualities to start a business? Really take that time to reflect about that on the inside. And then if you've decided, yeah, I can own a business, then let's start to look at what the options are to have larger sustaining businesses that are available. How can we tap into some of the resources that are out there? A lot of times I'm running into people who think the resources aren't available. And it's not that we don't face discrimination. We do face discrimination. But on the one hand, when we face discrimination, which are things that we can fight against, the other hand is we actually have to start, the certain types of businesses that it takes to get some of those resources that are out there. Retail oftentimes is not going to be it. Restaurants, beauty salons and barbershops, the government isn't giving any money for that. But if you're an engineer, if you're a mathematician, if you are into, even in creative industries, if you're into that, if you are a grower, if you're into technology, if you're into tourism, transportation, all of those things, those are industries that the government is giving to. So I would encourage you to check out the link below, start there, and begin kind of crafting your idea for what your business should look like. Definitely come back and check us out. We have a Facebook page, we have a Twitter account, and then we also have our website, which is bbiprofessional.com. There will be more business tips coming out. So in the next couple of days, I'll try and put out another video kind of going into some more tangible steps in terms of, you know, filing your business at the Secretary of State, getting your EIN number, things like that. But I really do want to put that emphasis on focusing in on your mindset. That's so important. You know, businesses have a high failure rate, and a lot of that is because of poor planning. A lot of that is due to lack of capital, but a lot of that is also due to not really having the mindset or knowing what it takes. You know, making it feel like it sounds so good to control your own schedule, but if you don't have discipline to get up in the morning and actually go to work like you work for someone else but working for yourself, you know, you'll come to a place where your business fails because you weren't working it the way it needed to be. That discipline factor, that mindset factor is really like the number one thing, because even if you experience setbacks, if you have the mindset to really own a business, there's no setback that's going to stop you from doing what you know you're set out to do. So assess that, evaluate that in yourself, you know, and really have that heart to heart with yourself. You don't have to prove it to anyone else. You just really have to know and be honest. And then you can take time to work on those things. If you find that you lack organization, take a class on organization. I teach one. I can help. But if it doesn't have to be for me. Take a class on organization. You know, if you find that you're not resourceful, start attending networking meetings. Shake hands. Get to know people so that when you need resources, you kind of know where to go to get them. You know, do your research. If you find that you start and stop a lot of things, really take that into consideration and ask yourself, what can you do to improve on your follow through or your ability to be consistent and persistent in completing a goal or a task? So really have that conversation with yourself. That's where your business starts. It starts with you. So I hope that this was helpful. Definitely check out the link below. If you live in another state, look it up, Google it. And I will see you back here in another few days here with a few more tips. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter.